Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. Today I'm in my friend Titus's home theater. In this video, we're going to be giving you a complete home theater tour of his Dolby Atmos 7.1.4 home theater system. Now, if you're passionate about home theater, I produce weekly content, usually 2 to 3 videos a week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. So enough talking. Titus, let's get into your home theater room tour.
Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to my small and humble theater room. It is approximately 12 by 16 with an 8-foot ceiling. All right, up front I have my Klipsch KW-120 THX. I love these speakers. Just picked them up recently. The LCRs. And also I have my Samsung 75-inch screen TV. I believe it's the 2018 version. Down below I have my Denon 3608. That's what's powering it. Then I have my Sony 4K player with my PS4 on the bottom. My Emotiva XPA5, 5-channel of course, by 200. Then down below that I have my Emotiva UPA 200, 125 watts by 2. And I have my Monster Power Center right below that. And of course, the Klipsch 12-inch subwoofers. So here I have some acoustic panels on the side wall, 2x4 and also 2x2s with diffuser over the panel. I have more acoustic panels, 2x4 on the front wall, and one up under the television, and of course, as you see, one on the front wall to the right. Also have some on the ceiling. There's a 2x2. I try to keep it black and white, that's my theme. And a 2x4 in the middle, and of course another 2x2 on the side. And all of these are self-built by myself. I'm not a handyman, but I was able to do it somehow. I have my Ultra 2s on bellow stands. They are approximately 3 feet tall with a 7-inch platform. And for my Atmos height channels, I have the SVS Prime Elevation. Of course, they're in white. And on my rear wall, I have acoustic panels and 3D diffusers as well. One on the top and one on each side of the acoustic panel in the middle. And because I love diffusers so much, yes, they are on the ceiling, as you see. I think they're awesome. They make sound so much more alive. Now in the back, I also have the Beast, the PV4000. That's what's handling all the bass from the rear. For my seating, I have my Ashley Furniture power recliners. And as you see, I have my Broncos throw blankets because I'm a fan. And also I have 2 additional ones in the rear. And for my lighting, I have 6 lights in the ceiling as well as a light strip on my entertainment center and a light strip on the back of my television as well. And of course, as you know, I can change all the colors on the lights, including the light strips as well by Google.
Well, Titus, thanks so much for allowing me to share your home theater with my audience, man. It's definitely been a pleasure.
No problem.
We've been hanging out for the past couple hours. We've gone through a ton of demos. You've got an incredible home theater here. And one thing I try to do on my channel is I love allowing people to see just different setups. It doesn't always have to be the most expensive. It doesn't always have to be the biggest. And in your theater, one thing I love about it is some people would look at a room this size. We're talking 12 foot by 16 foot, 8 foot ceiling. So it's not a massive size room. And some of you guys may have something similar to that. And you're thinking, I could never build a home theater in that space. And the reality is you've proven that you can put together a really nice home theater even in a smaller space. And so I'm always grateful to be able to share those types of setups with you guys. And so Titus, man, kind of tell me a little bit about your setup. You know, kind of how did your journey start in home theater?
Well, like probably most of you, I had Bose speakers, you know, for years. When I first moved here, I had 2 Bose speakers in the corner, 2 in the back. I had a 1 center Klipsch speaker, and I believe it was a 10-inch Klipsch subwoofer. Okay. Yep, that's how I started. Yeah. Then I saw one of your channels, one of your videos, and I was like, man, I need to upgrade. I got to do something better than that. So that's how I started. Gotcha. Small beginnings, and that was about a year ago. Yeah, so just a year ago, you had a couple speakers, and you began that journey, and kind of what's that journey looked like since then? Like, what's changed in your room? 3 things. Upgrades, upgrades, upgrades. You know, I'm not rich at all, far from it. You know, I find great deals online, you know, and I buy them, and I tell my wife, look, this is going to be the last thing. It's never the last thing. We all say that, right? Never, ever the last thing. Yeah. So I find great deals. I'm able to resell and buy more used equipment. Gotcha. That's what I usually do, is just used equipment. I don't think I have but a couple of things new. Sure. The receiver and maybe my primary locations, but everything else you see here is used. Yeah. And I think that's one great thing to kind of share with everybody is that, you know, yes, it's nice to have that brand new Marantz or the brand new speakers of your favorite brand. But the reality is we all have a budget, you know, and I love the fact that you mentioned that you're not rich. I'm not rich. People see my dedicated theater room. Sometimes they're like, man, it must be nice to have money. What they don't see is it took me 14 years to get to the position that I'm at today, you know, and just like you, I started out buying used equipment. I'd buy it just really, really crazy. And you guys have even coined the phrase Youthman Deals because I would find something just really, really cheap. And that's what would end up in my home theater. And I would rock it for 6 months, a year, 2 years. But in the meantime, I would continually be looking at Craigslist, OfferUp, Let Go, Facebook Marketplace. And then when those really good deals come up and it's an upgrade to what I have, then I purchase that, sell what I have. And sometimes in that process, like you said, you can even make some money because you bought it at such a good price. You sell it at market value, and you take that money and you put it right back into your home theater. And I think you've done a great example of doing just that, and how you can take and not have a ton of money invested and have just a kick butt home theater. I appreciate it. And that's what I've been doing, man. I just, like right now, I just got the LCR, the THX Ultra 2s. Mm-hmm. Wonderful speakers, I love them. I'm upgrading, I'm trying to get the rear of the same and also for the surrounds. Right. So I'm going to be selling the subs. So hit Youthman up if you want to buy them. Yeah, so if you're interested, he's got both of these for sale. Yep. And then I think you've got a gentleman coming to buy your PB4000. PB4000, yeah, I'm selling that as well. What's the next upgrade for you? What are you looking at? So I have a good deal on a couple of PB16 Ultras I'm thinking about. Or I may go with the JTR Captivated. Okay. Depending. So that's the next upgrade. Yeah, so either way, he's looking at getting kind of a bigger subwoofer, either a 15-inch subwoofer or two 15s actually. Right. Or possibly 18s.
Trying to get him over to see my, or to hear my JTR RS2s. I told him one of those would be more than sufficient for his room, even probably the RS1, which is a single 18. But the PB16s are phenomenal. I think they'd be a huge upgrade over what he's got here, because these are, like I said, these are 12s, and then that one is, I think, a 13. 13. Yeah, on the PB4000, but still great speakers. I love, this is actually my first time. I've heard and owned a lot of Klipsch over the years. I even have a video of owning over 50 pairs of Klipsch speakers. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll post a link to it in the card above. You can check that out later. But this is actually one of the first, I've seen these in person, but I've never heard the THX Ultra 2s and the LCR. One thing I noticed, it's a little bit different than your typical Klipsch speaker as far as the sound signature. Klipsch is typically known to have a kind of a very forward, a very lively, and just a kind of almost an aggressive sound. And I really love that. These definitely have more of a neutral, kind of more laid back sound, but still maintains that clarity and detail that Klipsch is known for. But I think you're on the right track of getting matching surrounds because, you know, as we know with the original RF7s, they're pretty bright. I mean, they're like aggressive. So when we were listening to surrounds, the back will come up and grab you, man. I mean, they're definitely pretty intense. And so I think that would definitely kind of blend that together. And this was also the first time that I had heard the SVS prime elevations, and so those did a phenomenal job. And because they're all angled, I think you've got some like angled brackets, right? So these aren't the ceiling ones that you get from SVS, because those you have to mount directly to the ceiling.
Right. Exactly.
And he wanted to kind of angle these towards his primary listening position. But man, those are really cool. And I know in my setup I use like your RS42s. They're wide dispersion, and so these for I'm thinking about getting something like direct speakers like that for my surrounds, just to try it. I don't know, you know, especially with the Dolby Atmos and object-based format. So I don't know. Again, that's one of the things. We're always upgrading. We're always thinking, you know, what can I do next? But power, we've got the Denon AVR, and it's his system's being powered by the Emotiva XPA5, and Emotiva has always made some phenomenal amplifiers. So the 200x5 is powering what?
The 200x5 is powering the front stage.
Okay, so the
LCRs, and then my RF7s in the back.
Gotcha, those two. And then he also has a second amplifier that has, it's a 2-channel 125. So 125x2 from Emotiva, the UPA 200. And then what's that powering?
That's powering the RS42's second generation, the surround in the back. Cool.
And so again, all right, think of this, and I shared this with people. You can start off with an AVR, a receiver, and if for whatever reason you feel that it's not enough power for you, as long as your AVR has pre-outs, those are RCA connections. Sometimes AVRs will have XLR, but typically they don't. But if they've got RCA outputs, then you can add an amplifier to alleviate some of that weight, some of that amplification from the AVR. And in this case, you've pulled 7 out of those 11 speakers from the AVR. So now all the AVR has to do is handle the Atmos, and that's super, super easy for an AVR to do that. And so that's always a great option if your AVR has pre-outs, and I always highly recommend that. Even if you don't think you're gonna add an amplifier, even in any time in the near future, go ahead and get one with pre-outs. It just opens up your options for that. Now, Titus, your room has a lot of acoustic treatments, and mine does too, but I just have the acoustic panels. And so these acoustic panels absorb sound. If you don't have them in your room, a lot of times there's just like an echo in your room. And so that's why we add acoustic treatment. So you've got one behind your TV, we've got some on the front walls, even some on the ceiling, which I haven't even done in my room. But you also got these kind of crazy looking things over here. Tell us a little bit about that, because maybe a lot of guys are familiar with acoustic panels, but maybe not so much these little square shaped things. So tell us a little bit about those.
So these are diffusers. They're called 3D diffusers. They take some of the reflections, the good reflections, and they kind of disperse them in the room to make the front stage wider.
Gotcha.
So the thought process behind, and they're actually sitting on absorption panels as well.
Okay.
So you have the lower frequency being absorbed.
Nice.
And then the higher dispersed.
Gotcha.
So you get that wide sound.
Very cool.
And the same thing in the ceiling. So
Right.
the reflections on the absorption, and then once it runs back, it hits the diffusers.
Gotcha.
And it gives the wider sound. So I love those things. Before I had those, it was kind of dead. Adding those, man, it really livened things up.
So that's a good point that he makes too, is that you can add too much absorption in your room and it becomes like there's no reverb, and you don't want to completely deaden a room, but you do want to get rid of some of those reflections in your room, because when you have reflections, and what I always tell people is, if you'll just clap one time and just listen, you know, have it quiet in your room, clap one time real loud and just listen. If there's an echo and it's boing, 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 that's bad. That's definitely not good for your setup. And what I found in mine, by adding acoustic treatment in my acoustic panels, it cleaned up the dialogue so much more. It makes it more intelligible, and you can understand and hear all those little nuances. And I know in your setup, we were watching like A Quiet Place, and there was one scene where there was a clock she had set that timer, and we could just hear it ticking out of this one little speaker over here. So that was really cool. And so having acoustic treatment will allow you to better pinpoint things that are happening in your room, but also, especially for dialogue, make that a lot more intelligible.
Yeah, and I also have acoustic treatments behind this curtain. It's a huge window, but I also have the absorption and also the diffusers behind the curtain as well. So that helps this side of the room too.
Nice. And so he's got, I noticed you've got pretty much the same thing I just recently did in a previous video. When we painted, I added blackout curtains, and you wouldn't notice that this room really has all these windows. We got a big kind of a double door here that leads out into the main living room. And then right out here is his backyard. So we got a window here and we got a big double window here. So adding blackout curtains greatly will allow your room to get darker and just allows for a more immersive experience. And then what I was sharing with him is that, you know, even adding, like, take that another step. In my previous video, which I'll link up here, I added some almost like blackout film to the glass, and it's just static cling, so there's no residue. And once I added that in combination with the blackout curtains, man, my room is like pitch black. And so it makes just once lights go out, it's movie time, man.
Yep, exactly. That's why I love it.
Now, Titus, you shared with me earlier that you moved into this home about a year ago, correct?
Right.
And so kind of walk us through, like, what was that thought process? What was the first things that you began to purchase? How did you kind of determine, hey, I'm going to make a kind of a dedicated space in this Florida room?
Well, the first thing I was thinking about is, can I afford it?
Okay,
Right?
sure.
And if the answer was yes, how can I convince my wife to
Nice.
let me spend the money?
Sure.
So the first thing I bought was my receiver.
Okay.
A little over $1,000, and there's different companies that'll let you, make a couple of payments on it. So that's what I did. I started off that way.
Okay.
Made a couple of payments on it, paid it off.
Gotcha.
Then I was looking for, okay, what speakers should I use? And the only thing I knew about was Craigslist.
Okay.
I wasn't really familiar with Marketplace and
Sure.
things like that. And then my wife told me about OfferUp.
Right.
So I started looking on there, and man,
Yeah.
all the stuff you can find on
Yes.
OfferUp, Craigslist, and Facebook Marketplace.
Correct.
And so I think at that time, like I mentioned before, I had Bose speakers, and I bought my first Klipsch
Okay.
system. I bought it was a 5.1 surround sound.
Okay.
That some guy was selling very inexpensive.
Gotcha.
So I bought that, I hooked it up, and I was blown away.
Right.
But then I started doing a lot more research, seeing what was out there. I said, I wonder how much I can get if I put this up for sale. And I put the whole package up for sale, but I started getting individual questions about the individual speakers itself.
Gotcha.
So I think I sold I had RS41s, the original version.
Okay.
I sold them alone for almost the whole price of the system.
Nice.
And
Gotcha.
so that's how it started. So I was like, wait a minute, I can really do this and upgrade.
Gotcha.
And I remember looking at your channel and other channels and looking at the SVS products. I'm like, man, I don't think I could ever afford that.
Sure.
But again, you get more stuff, more things, more nicer quality. You're able to sell it for a reasonable amount and upgrade.
Yeah.
So that's all I've been doing is just, you know, buying and selling and upgrading and until 1 year later, I would have never thought about a year ago having a system
Right.
like this. Never in a million years.
And I think that's another great point is this is a process. And I always try to share with you guys that to me, it's a lot about the journey, man. I enjoy the process of building my theater room. I'm not looking to get to an end game to where I'm done.
Right.
You know, I legitimately, I like trying some new things. I like trying new speakers, amplifiers, AVRs, processors. To me, I get a lot of joy just in doing that. And it seems like you're the same.
Yeah, I don't want to be done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fun.
Sure.
I think that if I had the money just to buy everything I have right now all in one day, it would have been as fun.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're totally right.
It wouldn't have been. Just like you mentioned, the journey and buying and selling and upgrading is the passion out of it. And it makes you happy. So
Yeah.
definitely.
So like long term, let's say 5 years from now, where do you see Titus's home theater?
Oh man, 5 years from now. So I'm gonna buy a house soon, hopefully.
Okay. So you're gonna maybe move to a space of your own.
Yep. And so of course the first thing I want to look at is, do I have enough room for a bigger dedicated theater?
So Titus, what would you say would be your ideal space for a home theater?
Probably double the size.
Really?
Yeah. When you're walking in my house, and you walk in the theater room, it's like the theaters.
Nice.
That's what I want. I want the starlit ceiling.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, man. I want thunderous bass.
Okay.
I don't know what that's going to look like in the future, but
Sure.
you know, bass that you can feel that you're worrying about if you're going to have a heart attack or not.
Nice.
That kind of stuff.
So for thunderous bass, I'm thinking maybe 415s or a couple 18s.
Probably at least 418s.
418, okay.
Yeah, at least that.
I mean, you know, some guys are rolling with 21s and 24s too, so you never know.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
I haven't experienced 18s yet. Hopefully soon. I haven't even experienced 15s.
Okay.
So with the PP4000 I have and the Klipsch, the THX, the 12s, it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
You know.
I know for me, when I started off my journey with a 10-inch Velodyne, then I went to a 15-inch Velodyne. Once I went to a 15, I never have gone back to anything smaller than a 15.
Gotcha.
There's just a lot more impact, and I guess the biggest thing is it's moving a lot more air than a 12 or a 10 or even a 13-inch subwoofer. I think you're going to like some 15s or 18s.
Right.
But you know you've got an open invitation. You're definitely going to come over, you and your wife, come over, and I'll let you experience 418s. I think you're going to be quite impressed.
Okay.
That is
definitely.
for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So Titus, one kind of theme that keeps resonating with your home theater is this budget-friendly aspect to it. Buying used quality equipment. I mean, your speakers are like 10 plus years old, and they still sound phenomenal, man. And I've always tried to share with people that if you'll just buy quality speakers. Now, granted, some of your speakers, they've got some dings in them, they've got some dents in them, and the reality is that saves you tons of money. So if you're OCD and a little bitty ding or a scratch is going to drive you up the wall, maybe used gear isn't the best route for you unless you can buy something that, you know, somebody has bought new, taken great care of it, and then they're just wanting to upgrade from it. But maybe what are some other tips that we can kind of give our viewers that would help them to save some money in their home theater?
Well, one of them is the acoustic panels. I know they usually run anywhere from 50 to 150 a piece.
Yeah.
And I'm not a handyman at all.
Me neither.
At all.
It's bad, man.
I didn't even have a drill.
Okay.
I had a borrowed my brother's drill.
Okay, so you borrowed some tools.
Yeah. And, you know, I watched YouTube videos. That's where it's at. And I just got started.
Nice.
I think my first two panels, it took me, me and my son, a few
That's
hours,
a while, yeah.
2-3 hours just to make.
Sure.
But it gets easier.
Yeah.
And now, you know, you can make an acoustic panel for about $13 each.
Wow.
You know.
Super
So
cool.
it's just to save money.
Yeah.
Try to do it yourself. Try buy used if you can. You know, if you don't if you don't have the pocket to buy new,
Sure.
or if you just don't want to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just to save money. And to be patient, like you mentioned before, we were speaking. When you know what you want, and somebody will be selling it.
Right. Down the road.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
5
me.
years, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Somebody may be looking for that PB4000 thinking, man, I'll probably never own that.
Right.
And then they see your ad and they're like, I can afford that.
Right.
You know,
and
then
that's
they
what
buy
I did.
it.
So in this journey, I've completely regutted this place.
Yeah.
I saw the PB4000 on for sale for a very inexpensive amount.
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I sold everything I had, bought that,
Yeah.
and then upgraded from there.
Right.
You know, so it's just to be patient. We all have the upgrade bug.
Sure.
So you're gonna find great quality equipment that you can upgrade to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Way cool, man. Well, overall sound quality, like I said, it's phenomenal. This is kind of cool having what they call a near field sub. So instead of having your subs like way up in the front like we've got up here, he also has one in the middle back here. So every time the bass was thumping, man, it was like he had little butt kickers in here. So
Which
that
I
was,
do, by the way.
Oh, you do?
I do. I forgot.
He didn't
even
tell
I
me
did
that.
Not. I did not. Sorry.
You didn't tell me that. I'm like, dude, I'm getting some near
But
field bass.
they're not on.
Okay.
They're not hooked up.
So I was getting near field
Yeah,
bass
you
from
were.
that.
So I have
Awesome.
butt kickers in each of the chairs.
Okay, cool.
Which I will be selling these chairs as well.
Okay.
But I turned them off because they were too much.
Gotcha. Okay.
To me, I don't think I had them dialed in right.
Okay.
And it took away from the
Sure.
bass that was going around.
Gotcha.
But you can't turn them up and down.
Sure.
But yeah, so you were just feeling the sub.
I gotcha. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, because I'm feeling it. You know, every time A Quiet Place. If you guys haven't seen that, that's a trippy movie. A lot of LFE in that. We watched some content from Hacksaw Ridge. Man, gunshots, explosions, just the little details. Them walking through the sand. We watched some Jupiter Ascending. There was another one. What was it?
It was.
What did we watch?
There were so many. Oh, The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, The Greatest Showman.
We did
So
that.
that was some vocals. Again, you know, these aren't super bright. They're very laid back, but it's a very natural sound from the THX Ultra 2s. And so, man, I think you've done a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
With especially a smallish kind of room. And my goodness, I mean, we've got 7.1.4 and 3 subwoofers. So that's pretty insane. And butt kickers when he's
Butt
got them
kickers,
turned on.
exactly.
And 2 rows of seating. And so a lot of guys will kind of think, you know, man, I don't really have the room for 2 rows of seating. Now, ideally, you've got kind of the same issue that I've got with the length of my room. There's no space really behind that rear seat. So those definitely aren't optimal because the rear speakers and the Atmos speakers are kind of firing over that seat. So really, this is definitely prime listening position here. So definitely if you can get a little bit longer, but the reality is you now can have all 6 of your family members in here when he gets the middle seat back there and gets the 2 bigger subs maybe up
Yeah,
here. And then you'll be able to have all of your family in here and be able to watch a movie.
Hell yeah. So, man, thanks for coming over.
Hey,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you inviting me, man.
Yeah,
and
anytime.
likewise, you got to come over, bring the family. We'll check out my home theater.
Yeah.
And might even give you the upgrade bug again. How about that?
Yeah, that's good.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I've got a whole playlist right over here on home theater tours that I've done. And as always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.